did it! You freed her! Thank you so much!
I'm sorry I ran away, Daddy. I was so scared.
It's all right, Butterfly. You're safe now. All the bad creatures are gone. The phrase to activate Shale is Dulan Han. If you still want that bloody thing. I wouldn't if I were you. Now we should go, and quickly. Thank you again. We owe you our lives.
I knew that the day would come when someone would find the control rod. And not even a mage this time. Probably stumbled across the rod by accident, I suppose. Typical. I stood here in this spot and watched the wretched little villagers scurry around me for, oh, I have no idea how long. Many, many years.
Oh, you poor dear. That would be really, really boring.
And the villagers had no idea they were being watched. Creepy.
Then one wonders that you wouldn't be grateful to the one who allowed you to stretch your legs, Golem.
Another mage, I see. Charming. I was just beginning to get used to the quiet, too. Tell me, are all the villagers dead? Some got away, then. How unfortunate. Not as much as it would think. There was running and screaming, and then days and days of watching the Darkspawn prowl around. I would never have thought there could be something less interesting than the villagers, but there it was. Well, go on then. Out with it. What is its command? Did I? I honestly don't remember. Perhaps it was after yet another time he called me Golem. Golem, fetch me that chair. Do be a good Golem and squash that insipid bandit. And let's not forget, Golem, pick me up. I tire of walking. It does have the control rod, doesn't it? I am awake, so it must. I see the control rod, yet I feel... Go on, order me to do something. And, nothing. I feel nothing. I feel no compulsion to carry out its command. I suppose this means the rod is... broken? I suppose if I can't be commanded, this means... I have free will, yes? It is simply... what should I do? I have no memories beyond watching this village for so long. I have no purpose. I find myself at a bit of a loss. What about it? It must have awoken me for some reason, no? What did it intend to do with me? May I ask what sorts of things it gets up to for which I could be so potentially useful? It refers to the Darkspawn, the very creatures that destroyed this village. The Darkspawn are an evil that must be destroyed, it's true, though not as evil as the birds. Damnable feathered fiends. I suppose I have two options, do I not? Go with it or go elsewhere? I do not even know what lies beyond this village.
Are you certain you want to bring that thing with us? It could be dangerous and large. Yes, that won't make us conspicuous or anything. Well, whatever.
I will follow it about then. For now. I am called Shale, by the way. This should be interesting.
and damnation.
Yes.
I lied to you, you know, about why I left Orlais. I didn't feel like talking about it then, what happened to me. Maybe it will affect us, maybe not, but you should know. I came to Ferelden and the Chantry because I was being hunted in Orlais. I was framed, betrayed by someone I thought I knew and could trust. Marjolaine. She was my mentor and friend. She taught me the bardic arts, how to enchant with words and song, to carry myself like a highborn lady, to blend in as a servant. The skills I learned, I used to serve her, my bard master, because I loved her, and because I enjoyed what I did. She claimed to have retired. She married a noble and inherited his wealth when he died. To many she was just a rich widow. I thought I knew her. My devotion to her blinded me to her less than noble attributes. You can say it was my fault. There was a man I was sent to kill. I was to bring Marjolaine everything he carried. I don't know who this man was. She gave me a name and a description, and I hunted him down. I found documents on his body, sealed documents. My curiosity got the better of me. Something told me that I needed to know what was in those letters. Marjolaine had been selling all kinds of information about Orlais to other countries, Nevarra and Antiva among others. It was treason. My life as bard taught me that my loyalties should be kept fluid. My concern was not that she was a traitor, but that her life would be in danger if she was caught. Orlais has been at war with so many countries. It takes a harsh view of such things, as I later discovered. I should have left well alone, but I didn't. I had to tell Marjolaine I feared for her life. She brushed aside my concern. She admitted her guilt, but said it was in the past. That is why the documents had to be destroyed, she said. I believed her. I kept believing up till the moment they showed me the documents, altered by her hand, to make me look the traitor. The Orlesian guards, they captured me. Did terrible things to make me confess and reveal my conspirators. It was a traitor's punishment I endured. And at the end of it, all that awaited me was eternity in an unmarked grave. The skills Marjolaine taught me were good for something at least. I broke free when I saw the opportunity. I did not seek Marjolaine out. If she thought I was coming for her, she would have me caught again. I was tempted to confront her. I was furious, betrayed. But what could I do against her? And so I fled to Ferelden, to the Chantry and the Maker. Ferelden protected my person, and the Maker saved my soul. And that is the reason I am here. The real reason. No more lies between us, at least in this. It feels good to have this off my chest. Thank you for listening and understanding.
Oh, that. Merely reflecting on the hopeless nature of the task in front of it. The most likely outcome is that it and its companions will become a stain on some rock for the Darkspawn to tread upon. I shall be moved to a single tear by the tragedy. It's true. One single tear, and then it's off to the north, I think. Or maybe west. I haven't decided. What's that? Did it hear flapping wings? There may be pigeons nearby. We should be alert. It doesn't have better things to do. I like to think of them as accessories. I suspect that it is an art that was practiced when golems were more, commonplace. My former master collected whatever lore he could find on the subject. He searched far and wide to collect what crystals he could and then added them. It is not an unpleasant sensation. So I would assume. My former master enjoyed poking around the ruins in the deep roads after all, and bartering with others who did. As I understand it, the crystals allow me to alter the flow of magic around me. Wilhelm had hoped to turn me into a battery of mana, something he could tap at will. Not really, although now that I think of it, these attempts may be what caused my disruption. Some of the crystals increase the presence of mana, some absorb or reflect spells. There are various kinds. All I can promise is that should it ever find one of these crystals, I can likely tell it the function and what it would do if added to me. Wilhelm said they came from the deep roads. So, anywhere such things end up, I suppose. That answers its question, I assume? Unless it has more. I do not sleep, so yes, and I thank it for reminding me. Try to imagine, if it will, what it would be like to be surrounded by nothing but boring peasants, all oblivious to it. And then there were the birds. A whole village full of pigeons and ravens and sparrows all perching on me day in and day out. Those foolish villagers would spread birdseed near me, drawing the birds, because they thought having birds perch on me was quaint. Quaint! If there hadn't been the occasional kind soul to scour me clean, I don't care to discuss this anymore. It doesn't have better things to do. I like to think of them as accessories. I suspect that it is an art that was practiced when golems were more, commonplace. My former master collected whatever lore he could find on the subject. He searched far and wide to collect what crystals he could and then added them. It is not an unpleasant sensation. So I would assume. My former master enjoyed poking around the ruins in the deep roads after all, and bartering with others who did. As I understand it, the crystals allow me to alter the flow of magic around me. Wilhelm had hoped to turn me into a battery of mana, something he could tap at will. Not really, although now that I think of it, these attempts may be what caused my disruption. Some of the crystals increase the presence of mana, some absorb or reflect spells. There are various kinds. All I can promise is that should it ever find one of these crystals, I can likely tell it the function and what it would do if added to me. Why not? I don't get to wear clothing and other adornments like the rest of you creatures after all. That answers its question, I assume? Unless it has more. Did I not already tell it that I do not remember doing such? I remember having a master. My memories of what happened to him are vague. Clever and true. Oh, very well. Let me see what I can recall. My former master enjoyed experimenting upon me. I remember that much. There was tinkering with spells, and then the crystals. He was very eager to alter my function, I think. Bah, I am no mage, and he did not explain himself to me, any more than it would explain itself to a sword. He possessed my control rod, and back then, it would have prevented me from doing anything he did not command me to, no matter how I might have wished to. So what happened? I am unsure. He was experimenting, and then nothing. And then he was gone. I was standing where I was, in the village, and I could no longer move. The villagers came, poked and prodded me in fear, and then realized they could neither move me nor destroy me. So they simply left me. And in time I forgot I hadn't stood there all along. In fact, at first I found it more of a relief. For so many years I'd had to leap to that little toadstool's every command. Get this, pick up that, put it down, pick it up again. The gall! At first I'd hoped he'd simply decided to leave me there paralyzed, an acceptable trade-off. After years passed, I simply stopped caring. I think I was ready to move on. Another few years and the moss would have covered my face. And then where would I have been? Whatever the mage did seemed to render the control rod useless, for which I should be thankful, yes? And provided it doesn't decide to copy his experiments, not that I would allow it, it has nothing to fear from me. Much. The things that it fights, and it fights things often, that is a different story. Let us get back to the walking and the fighting. My stone is beginning to itch again.
Something on your mind? Of course. Such as they are. That's a good question. There's plenty in Orlais, but who knows where they might be found. And the nearest Orlesian city is weeks away. If we go north and cross the sea, there's bound to be some in the Free Marches. Again, however, I just don't know where. I don't know anything about Grey Wardens in other lands. Here in Ferelden, there's our compound in Denerim at the palace, but that's it. Loghain will have control over that and be watching it, no doubt. Beyond that, the only place I know of is Weishaupt Fortress. That's the headquarters of all Grey Wardens in the Anderfells, 1,000 miles from here. But I've no idea how to even contact them. So unless we try to get back to the compound in Denerim, I suppose the answer is no. There's nowhere for us to go. I imagine that eventually the Grey Wardens outside of Ferelden will wonder what's happened. Why there's no contact from Duncan or someone. They'll send someone eventually. Though who knows what Loghain's people in Denerim will tell them. Maybe they won't send anyone. We could try to contact them. But that would mean leaving Ferelden, and even if we did, they couldn't come back with us in time to stop the Blight. So that means whatever happens, it's up to us. I mean, eventually we would have to use the joining to make more Grey Wardens, right? But I don't know how to do the joining, or what's involved. I know it involves lyrium and some other magic, and that it's really difficult to prepare, but that's it. Unless we can find out more about the joining, I guess we better get used to the idea that there might only be 2 of us for now. Until more come from elsewhere. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. Something on your mind? Of course. Such as they are. About the Grey Wardens, anyhow. Fair enough. Something on your mind?
Yes? So, full of questions, are you? Possibly, if I had the desire to. I do not.